the step number one in scaling is this, which is that you can't scale until you can get out of the way. It amazes me how many people come to me and they say, Jeff, I'm working harder than I ever have. I'm putting in more hours than I ever did, and I'm not growing faster. And they don't understand that that's exactly the problem, is that you putting in more time running the business is not the solution. What you're going to see today is that you putting in more time building a team to grow your business is where a chunk of your time should be spent. So I know it's a hard lesson for many people, but it turns out no matter how successful you are, you're actually not as smart as you think you are. And you're not as good as you think you are. And sometimes the killer to business leaders, CEOs, founders, bosses, is success. Because they say, wow, look at me, it's going great, we're really growing. But then later, they want to know, you're having this steady growth, but they ask us, like I teach a course called Explosive Growth. They say, how did you get that explosive growth? What made your business really grow and take off? And that's when they start to make this realization that it wasn't you putting in more time running the business, it was you putting in more time building a team. So being able to trust and empower and grow a team is that key. And the key to doing that is this. It's surrounding yourself with people smarter than you. And here's why. Like I said, when people are successful with their business, they start to think they must be really good and they must know stuff. When you start your business and it's just you or a couple of you, you wear every hat. You're doing everything. So my first company was, I will tell you guys, I was 20-something years old. I had an engineering job at a big engineering firm, and I hated it every day. I sat in my cubicle and stared out the window and waited for the day to end. But I had to go there every day because I needed my paycheck. And I had a good job, I just didn't have a good life. And when I left, I actually literally just quit one day. In fact, just for fun, I'll share with you guys this story. The big boss came into our building one day, the engineering company, the tech company, and everybody was looking. We'd never even seen him in person before. And he came in, and it was just rows of cubicles of engineers of every type. And he suddenly said, Hoffman. And I said, sir. He said, come here. And everyone's like, whoa, cool, the boss is calling you. And I walked over, he was standing by the window. And he looked out the window, and he said, you know, there's a promotion. There's a management job available in this engineering company. I said, yes, sir. And he said, do you want that job? I said, sir, everybody in this whole building wants that job. And he said, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to decide who gets this promotion. I said, okay. And he pointed out the window. This is a big engineering company. It's the parking lot. And he said, what do you see out there? And I was like, oh my God, this is like some kind of trick question. Or maybe something's hidden there that I'm supposed to find. I can hear like game show music. I have 2 seconds left. I didn't know what to say, so I said cars. It's a parking lot. And he said, that's right. And he patted me on my back. And I was like, yes, I'm 1 for 1 on the management quiz, right? I don't even know what's going on. My friends behind are all cheering, way to go. And I don't know what's happening here. And he said, let me tell you how I'm going to decide in the corporate world who gets this promotion. He said, every day I come to this window at the end of the day and I look out in the parking lot and I look to see whose car is here the longest. And he said, that's the person I'm going to promote. I said, that's Brian, and he's a complete moron. He's here every day because he doesn't know how to do his job. I was like, that's why he's always here. I actually know how to do engineering. My software is written and I go home. Dead silence. And he said, so that's the person who gets the promotion, the person that shows me they're most dedicated by being the last car to leave the parking lot. And he said, I hope you learned something today. And I said, I did. He said, what did you learn? I said, I'm just going to buy 2 cars and leave one here at work. He said, that was not the lesson. I said, I'm afraid it probably was. I quit the next day. That was the end of that corporate career. I started my first tech company. I bought an airline ticket to go visit a mentor. Strong believer in the power of mentorship. And I got to the airport. The line was 1,000,000 miles long, and I missed my flight. Back then, you had to go up to the counter to check in. And that was when I started my first tech company. I went home, took out a paper, and said there's got to be a better way for people to check in, and there's got to be technology solutions. So when you go to the airport today and you use one of those kiosks to check yourself in, that was my first invention. Created those, thank you. Created those, got some patents, started a company. But here's why I'm telling you that. Here's what I realized. I literally remember a day I was working on the kiosk. Somebody came into my office, a friend of mine, and he said, hey, I got a buddy that heard what you're doing and wants to give you some money, like investment money. And I was like, okay, I don't know anything about taking money. I said, tell him to send the money. He said, that'd be great, but there's one problem. And I said, what? He said, you don't have a bank account. I said, I don't really know banking and stuff. I just want to build these things. And I said, just get me a bank account. And he said, that'd be great. I'd be happy to set you up a bank account, but you don't even have a legal company. I said, just go start me a company. I just want to make kiosks. And that day I sat there and I thought, man, what else do I not know how to do? Let's see, never been to HR training. I don't know how to hire. I don't know finance, right? The list of things that you're good at is maybe one. It turns out I've never hired an engineer who also did my taxes and wrote all our marketing copy, right? It's not the way the world works. Engineers do engineering. Marketing people do that. Salespeople sell. Finance people do that. And so I started to realize that even though I was running my own company like you are, and I was doing all the tasks, you might be doing your books, you're doing your marketing, right? You're doing the tech side of things, and it's going pretty well, that the only way I was going to grow was when I recognized that everyone in this room is really only good at one thing. Figure out what that is and hire people smarter than you to do everything else. And it wasn't till I came to that realization that day. By the way, I came to the realization because a friend of mine asked me to see a cash flow sheet. And I had another friend of mine make it for me, and I didn't really understand all of it. And he said, dude, you're the CEO. You own the company, and you can't read all these financial documents. I said, I got enough basic idea, but no, I can't read all these spreadsheets. And he said, you have to know, as a CEO, an owner of a business, you have to know everything that goes on in that company, right? You ever hear that old saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself? Worst advice you could ever give someone who's trying to grow, right? But I took that advice. So I went to the bookstore and I bought a book called Finance and Accounting for Non-Financial People. And I went home and I was all excited. I'm going to teach myself finance now, even though I'm an engineer by trade. And I opened it to the first page and I thought, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. Right? What am I going to do next? I'm going to buy a book called Home Dentistry, pull my own teeth? Probably not. I'm going to go to a dentist. So why am I trying to learn finance? Why don't I get somebody that knows finance? When you realize that you should do the one thing you're best at and get people smarter than you for every other area of the company, that is when we started to grow, when I got out of the way.